my dear students. Today we will learn about electric fields in matter. In our previous classes, we learned about electrostatics and different mathematical tools, especially vector calculus, to deal with electrostatics. Now we want to learn what happens to matter if we apply an electric field, or if you when the thunderstorm or lightning happens, you can see that this lightning gets short circuited through the air. Okay, so here is also there is an electric field, and when this electric field appears, what happens to the medium? That is what we want to learn now. Okay, so in this section we learned about electric field in matter. Electric field in matter. Okay, now you know that there are so many things around us in which we can classify matter broadly into two. One is conductors and the other one is insulators. Okay, conductors and insulators. Insulators are also known as dielectrics. Okay, insulators are also known as dielectrics. Okay, this is dielectrics. Now, we learned about conductors already. The electrostatic properties of conductors. We learned about this in our last class, okay, last module. But now, in this section, we have to deal with insulators. Before that, I just want to clear you what are the difference between these conductors and insulators. Okay, in the case of conductors, you know that there are so many free electrons in a conductor. Okay, conductor. Conductors. There are free electrons in a conductor. Free electrons in a conductor. But these free electrons are not moving the same direction, so there is no current flow. These free electrons are in zigzag motion, random motion inside the conductor, and so there is no net electric field or current for a conductor. Okay. Similarly, the valence electrons in the atoms are not tightly bound to the nucleus. Okay, so they can move around throughout the material. Okay, they can move freely inside the conductor. Okay, inside the conductor. So there are so many free electrons, and these free electrons helps to conduct in the case of conductors. Okay. Now we can discuss about insulators. Okay, insulators. Insulators. For the case of insulators, the electrons are closely bound to the nucleus, okay, to the atoms. electrons are closely bound to the atom, respective atoms. Okay, respective atoms. So what happens? These electrons can't move throughout the material. They can move a slight with respect to their main position, but they can't move throughout the material. Each electron is associated with an atom. Okay, specific atom, and it is always moves around this nucleus or atom. Okay, so here there are no free electrons. Free electrons. Only bound electrons. Okay, only bound electrons. So, in the case of insulators, they can't conduct electricity or heat. Okay, all these things you know very well. Okay, so in the case of insulators, the valence electrons are tightly bound to their respective atoms. They can't move throughout the material. Okay, these are the main difference between conductors and insulators. And examples for conductors are metals, and for insulators, glass, paper, plastic, etc. are insulators. Okay, now we want to learn what happens to an insulator if an electric field is applied. Okay, so before discussing that, we want to learn about atom. Okay, atom in an electric field. Okay, atom in an electric field. In this case, the case of atoms, the electrons are roaming around the nucleus. Okay, the Coulomb attraction between the nucleus and the electrons hold them in that form. Now, if you apply an electric field, what happens to this atom? That is what we want to learn now. Okay, so neutral atom, for a neutral atom, I can draw here a figure, a diagram. Suppose nucleus is represented by a point charge with charge plus Q. Okay, now around this nucleus there is an electron cloud like this. Okay, minus Q, electron cloud. And in the case of neutral atom, the center of this negative charge and the center of positive charge coincides. Okay, center of negative charge or electron cloud and center of positive charge coincide. Center of positive charge coincide. Okay, so what happens? These atoms, neutral atoms, are electrically neutral. That means there is no net charge for an atom because there are equal number of negative charge and positive charge, and they both the center of positive charge, that means the nucleus, and the center of negative charge, that means the electron cloud, coincide at the same point. Okay, so atoms are electrically neutral, or atoms are neutral. There is no net charge for an atom. Okay, but you know that atoms are made up of neutrons, protons and electrons. Neutrons and protons are inside the nucleus and electrons are outside the nucleus. All these particles together form the atom. Okay, in this Protons have positive charge, neutrons are electrically charged neutral particles, and electrons are negatively charged particles. Okay, all these things you know very well. Now I just show you the diagram where we get this figure. Here you can see that from this diagram you can clear that the atom is neutral if there is no external field, because the center of positive charge and the center of negative charge both coincides here. Okay, both coincides at this point. Okay, now with field. Okay, that means suppose there is an applied electric field, and then what happens to this atom? This is the direction of applied electric field. Okay, so due to this applied electric field, positive charge and negative charge separated out. Okay, for example, I will show you here. Suppose that the electron cloud keep its spherical shape, but this point charge, positive charge, moves towards this. Okay, this is plus Q, and this separation is represented by D. This is minus Q. Okay, so this electron cloud, and this is the center of electron cloud. If there is no electric field, this nucleus coincides with this point. But now, due to the appearance of this electric field, this positive charge moves away from this center and it is here. Okay, now what happens to this atom? From this diagram itself you can see that now this atom is charged. Why? Because now there is positive charge here and negative charge here. Okay, so there are equal and opposite charges separated by a distance. This is called dipole moment. Okay, so here the applied field induced the dipole moment, and so this is called induced dipole moment. Okay, this is called induced dipole moment. This is the minus Q and this is the plus Q. Okay, now what are the other things you can understand from this diagram? You can see that the dipole moment is always orient from negative to positive. That means the induced dipole moment here is proportional to electric field. Okay, induced dipole moment is proportional to electric field, and this proportionality constant is represented by alpha E. Okay, alpha is called atomic polarizability. Okay, alpha is called atomic polarizability. So the induced dipole moment inside an atom is proportional to applied electric field. But this happens only for small fields. If the electric field is very large, very high value, then the atom gets ionized. Because due to this large electric field, the electrons get free from the atom and the atoms becomes ionized. Okay, there are free electrons and ions. Okay, so atoms get ionized due to very high large electric field, huge electric field. But for small fields, this is the case. There is an induced dipole moment. This dipole moment tries to nullify the effect of applied field. Induced electric field is always opposing the applied field. Okay, so you know that the electric field orients from positive to negative. The induced field is like this, applied field is like this. Okay, so always induced electric field try to nullify the applied electric field. Okay, and so there is an induced dipole moment. This dipole moment is represented by P equal to alpha E. Alpha is called atomic polarizability. Okay. Now, we can extend this study to the next case. That means for molecules. Okay. That means what happens to molecules if we apply an electric field. That is what we want to know now. Okay. In this case, in the case of molecules, you know that there are more than one atom in the case of a molecule. Okay. So in this case, the induced dipole moment may not be in the same direction as the applied field. Okay. So in this case, induced dipole moment make some angle with applied electric field. Induced dipole moment make some angle with applied electric field. Okay. So in this context, we can resolve this electric field along the direction of the dipole moment and perpendicular to the dipole moment. Okay. So you can write this induced dipole moment as sum of two terms, alpha perpendicular E perpendicular plus alpha parallel E parallel. Okay, here E perpendicular represents the perpendicular components of electric field perpendicular to the induced dipole moment, and this part represent the parallel component of the electric field parallel to the induced dipole moment. Corresponding to these electric fields, there are proportionality constant. In this context, this is called perpendicular, alpha perpendicular. This is also atomic polarizability. This is called alpha parallel. This also polarizability. No, in this case, not atomic polarizability, simply polarizability, because we are discussing molecules. Okay. So polarizability alpha. Corresponding to the different components of electric field, alpha is also, there are different types of alpha. Here alpha perpendicular and alpha parallel. Okay. Now, if you extend this study to large materials, okay, you can generalize this expression. In that case, we can represent this P in Cartesian coordinate system with three components, Px, x cap plus Py, y cap plus Pz, z cap. Okay. Similarly, the applied electric field can be written as Ex, x cap plus Ey, y cap plus Ez, z cap. Okay. So, there are polarization P and electric field E. Now, you want to write this expression. That means, here there are Px, Py, Pz. This is equal to the constant terms, and here Ex, Ey, Ez. Okay, Ex, Ey, Ez. Now, the constant can be written as alpha xx, alpha xy, alpha xz, alpha yx, alpha yy, alpha yz, alpha zx, alpha zy, alpha zz. Okay. Here you can see that this polarization and electric field is connected by a matrix. This is more general expression. Okay, this is called polarizability tensor. Okay, polarizability tensor. This is a tensor of rank 2. Okay, this is a tensor of rank 2. That means you can see that the proportionality constant alpha is now, thus alpha has 9 components. Okay, there are 9 components for alpha polarizability like this. Okay, there are 9 components. If you choose the coordinate system, the principal axis, or such that only these 3 diagonal elements survive. That means by choosing coordinate system properly, you can make all these of diagonal elements 0. Then this polarizability has only 3 components. Okay, in more general, we can call this as polarizability tensor of rank 2. That means, what is the meaning of this equation? The component of induced dipole moment. That means if you write this in the form of an equation, this is a matrix product. So if you write this in the form of an equation, you can write this as Px equal to alpha xx Ex plus alpha xy Ey plus alpha xz Ez. That means the x component of induced dipole moment depends on all the components of electric field Ex, Ey and Ez. When this happens in that context, this polarizability becomes a tensor. Okay. Similarly, Py equal to alpha yx Ex plus alpha yy Ey plus alpha yz Ez. Okay, similarly, this Pz equal to alpha zx Ex plus alpha zy Ey plus alpha zz Ez. Okay, so all the components, each component of induced dipole moment depends on all the components of applied electric field. Px depends on Ex, Ey, Ez. Similarly, Py depends on Ex, Ey, Ez. Similarly, Pz depends on Ex, Ey, Ez. Okay, that means this polarizability is a tensor of rank 2. In a more general sense, you can treat this polarizability as a tensor of rank 2. Okay, now we can do a problem. Consider a primitive model of an atom. Nucleus is assumed as a point charge of plus Q. Electron cloud is surrounded this nucleus and we can assume it as a sphere with radius A. Okay. Now calculate atomic polarizability for an applied field E. This is the problem. Okay. Now to solve this problem, We can draw the diagram like this. Electron cloud, spherical electron cloud with center here, and due to the applied electric field, positive charge move to this part plus Q. Suppose this is the separation between this D. Okay. Now, in this case, you can see that the applied electric field is balanced by electric field due to electron cloud. Okay. Electric field due to electron cloud. Electric field due to electron cloud. Okay, that means this applied field is equal to electric field due to electron cloud. And this, we know that this is given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q d by a cube. Because for a charged sphere, the electric field at a point D from the center is given by this expression. Okay, electric field at plus Q. That means the point charge plus Q at a distance D from the center of the sphere, and the electric field due to this electron cloud at this point where this plus Q is located is given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q d by a cube. Okay, where this a is the radius of the electron cloud. Okay, a is the radius of the electron cloud. It is given in the problem. A is the radius of the electron cloud. Okay, now you know that in this case the induced dipole moment is given by this q into d. Okay, P is equal to q into d, induced dipole moment. Okay, here this is the modulus 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 q d by a cube is magnitude of this electric field due to electron cloud. Okay, and now the magnitude of this induced dipole moment is given by qd, and you can write now this P is equal to alpha E. Okay, and here E is given by this electric field due to electron cloud, and so you can write here qd by 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube. Okay, and so this is P and this is the electric field, and so you can see that electric field is given by this electric field qd by 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube, and you can write from here this is P, and so this is equal to P by 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube, and similarly this value is equal to the value of applied electric field. By rearranging this, you get P equal to 4 pi epsilon 0 e a cube. Okay, or from this you can write this as P equal to alpha E, that's equal to 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube E. Okay, so what is now the atomic polarizability? That is, this comparing these two, you can see that alpha is equal to 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube. This is the atomic polarizability using a primitive model of an atom. Here we assume this nucleus is a point charge and the electron is distributed through electronic charge is distributed throughout a sphere. Above all, This sphere is not distorted by the applied field. Okay, these are the assumptions we used to solve this problem. From this you get this atomic polarizability as 4 pi epsilon 0 a cube. Okay, so I think now we can wind up this session. In this module we learned about matter. There are mainly two types of matter: conductors and insulators. All other matters are in between, either in this category or in insulator category. Okay, and we also learned that in the case of conductors, there are so many free electrons which can move throughout the material. But in the case of insulators, there are no free charges or electrons which can move throughout the material. Okay, but when we apply electric field, there are induced dipole moments inside the atom. Atoms get polarized. Okay, this induced dipole moment is along the direction of the applied field. But if we move from atoms to molecules, this induced dipole moment may make some angle with the applied field. In that context, we can conclude that the proportionality constant polarizability is a tensor of rank 2. Okay. And above all, finally we said that if we choose the proper coordinate system, we can restrict the components of polarizability by 3. Only the diagonal elements of the polarizability exist. Okay. Finally, we can do a problem finding out this atomic polarizability. Okay. So learn well. Happy learning. Thank you.